form this relationship with the client from the time that they come in to the time that that car leaves.
Some of these relationships they have are long-term relationships.
It's similar to a marriage.
It's something that you think about when you're going to bed at night.
There's a lot of give and take.
You know, you make that commitment and that's it.
It's the first thing that comes into your mind when you wake up in the morning.
How much time and effort you put in is exactly what you'll get in return.
The relationship the client has with their vehicle is very much like a marriage.
There's highs and lows.
It's all about the satisfaction that you're going to get of a job well done.
The relationship we have with Gil and Linda and the vehicles is like a marriage.
That relationship the client has with that vehicle, we share that with them. So we're both married to the ride.
Gil and Linda are married to the rides.
We seem to inherit an awful lot of unfinished projects, I guess you could say. And whether it's a home builder that has started something, they might not have the time anymore and over their head, or it might be it was at another shop and for whatever reason it wasn't finished. And they bring it to us and we kind of have to pick up where they left off and bring it home. It is a little challenging because you don't really know where you're picking up from to run with the ball. But the end result, I think, is much more satisfying because you've turned something that was into sort of a, you know, it could be not so positive situation. But for us to hand over the keys and say, here, we're done, drive it, enjoy it, love it, take your family, take your friends, go to the shows, win some trophies, and that's pretty satisfying. The F100 is probably one of the better examples of that. And home builder loves trucks, builds one, sells it, builds another one, sells it. And in this case, he plans on keeping this truck, which I think is awesome. He's very happy with it.
My name is Dylan Kendall. I'm from Pine Bush, New York.
Doesn't really have the time to finish it.
Comes a time where it's like, you know, you either have money or time. If I'm gonna have someone do it, I want them to be better than me. So once I saw what they were doing here, it kind of slowly turned into basically like a full build.
Obviously more than capable. It's just he wants to be able to enjoy it, and he wants to be able to enjoy it sooner than, you know, the 3 years it might take him to finish it.
The engine and trans were in, the full suspension was done. Then I realized that there were some things I wasn't gonna be able to tackle myself.
So he brought it to us and said, the goal is, I'd like you just to finish it, bring it home. I just want to drive it out of here in the end.
Dropped it off here. It was just the rolling cab. The bed was already off. I had it ready for them to do the wheel wells. And I literally just brought everything that I had with me. Essentially
got it in parts, I guess you would say.
And she said, you know, how far do you want to take this? And I said, I basically want to drive it out of here.
So here at GCD, I notice we get our fair share of inherited projects. So these projects that are either coming from a home builder or another shop. And on the interior side, that is magnified because not only do we work on the full GCD builds that are inherited from other shops or clients, we get the opportunity to work with other builders in this industry. So we take it that last mile in the project. We get to finish these projects up, which is great, you know, because you get to work with some quality builders and you get to finish that interior to match the exterior. It does present a challenge. We're inheriting projects that may have been at another interior shop, or that was started by another shop, and then we get it and we look at it and go, all right, this wiring's a mess. Why did they mount this here? Now we got to move this around, because a lot of times in this industry, the build side or the mechanical side, they don't take into account how we're going to make our panels and how we're going to hide things. Fortunately for us, 90% of our builders that we work with understand that process. To the 1955 Chrysler wagon. Many of you have seen it in the background, so let's get caught up to speed on that one. The First thing we want to do on this 1955 Chrysler wagon is get the headliner all set. So Kurt's going to go ahead, get the headliner installed, and then from that point, we'll work our way down.
Today we're working on the 55 Chrysler wagon. Putting a headliner in, door panels, dash, preparing the floor for carpet.
So when it comes to the interior on this 1955 Chrysler wagon, the client had some very specific details. He wanted to maintain all the door panel trim, all the bright work had to be maintained. Now there's going to be some hand-tooled leather going into this as well. Those are going to be on the door panel, and they're going to be boxed out by the bright work on it, so it's going to frame it really nice. Door panel set. He's going to jump on and get that carpet all done. So he's already got the padding down, so now he has to go ahead and pattern out that black velour carpet, bind the edges, and get that installed.
So we have a 72 Ford F100 rolling in today, and it's one of my favorite trucks. This thing's pretty awesome. It was a restoration. At one point, the client purchased it, obviously wanted to make his own changes on it, put his own personality on it, started a lot of it, you know, swapped out the motor, swapped out the transmission. He's a super busy person, and sometimes you just, between work and family and responsibilities, you just don't have the time. His sentence to me was, I'm bringing you all of this, and I want to come in and drive it out of here. That's the end goal. So that's the goal that we're reaching for. The bed is off of it. We are putting a new bed floor in. There's currently none in there. We're going to be tubbing out the wheel wells to fit the larger tires that he's bringing us.
So we have numerous parts for the 72 F100 that we're going to be installing. Everything front end, to brake lines, to drivetrain, to suspension. I can't wait to get it all done. I can't wait for the customers to see it. I think they're going to be really excited.
That we're going to have the tunnel that's in there for the transmission, the control arms now are changed, so we do have to cut the inner wheel wells. So it's like a whole laundry list of a lot of little things which add up to, you know, quite a big project when you think about it. And I can tell you right now, I can't wait to see this thing drive out of here. It's going to be a gorgeous truck.
So we're back on the 1955 Chrysler Windsor wagon. So at this point, Kurt has all the carpet installed, the entire cargo area, all the wood is down, the chrome strips are lined up. So the next key piece is these door panels, wrapping these things up. So we went ahead and designed some really beautiful speaker grills, which is going to be the crown jewel of each panel there. So Tyler got on the computer, he designed it within the CAD, and now we have these things printed out and they're going to be ready to be finalized.
With the 1955 Chrysler, what I did, took the vehicle's current designs, a lot into an account. Took the speaker and said, okay, well, this is a flat panel. I'm not gonna come out of the panel at all with this speaker. I mounted it behind the metal in all the panel. The door panel itself, what I did was I actually kept with the trim, used the same angles and tried to transfer some of that over to my grill area. That way it just maintained the same shapes. I don't like seeing things that are a little out of place. You want it to kind of fit. There's a grill on the dashboard. I take the structure of that grill for my grill, and the shapes of the trim I use as my borders.
What my favorite part of these grills is the Chrysler logo is centered on that grill.
And I saw the rear emblem and I'm like, that would be interesting to try to stick that in this grill.
So it's not just a generic grill. We were very mindful of the design of the vehicle.
Took a good look at it, took some measurements, and then I recreated that emblem in the grill for him.
Having these key pieces, even the grill itself with all the smooth grooves in it match up to the dash, matches up to the grooves in the emblems. So it's very, even in the door handles, it has the same kind of grooves. So we're very conscious of keeping in the same design language of the vehicle, which the client loved it, and I can't wait to see this one all wrapped up.
So today we're going to be working on the 72 Ford F100 pickup truck. We're going to remove the bed and replace the center section with a brand new OEM replacement. We have a lot to do with it, and some of the things that we're going to start with are widening the rear wheel tubs. The customer's going to be running a larger rear wheel so that we can use the inner fender wells to widen the existing. And so in effect, we'll widen the wheel wells, but it'll look factory. It'll still have the factory stamping, and it's going to look really good.
1, 2, 3. You good, Bob? Watch out. We've made quite a bit of progress on our 72 F100. Bob and Dan made quick work of getting the bed floor in. They cut the wheel wells and they tubbed that out, so all of the welding is done. All of the grinding is done. We've actually undercoated, Cobra undercoated the entire new part of the bed plus up inside, you know, just make sure everything's cohesive.
So today I'm going to be working on the 72 F100, and my main focus today is the front end. What I'll be doing is working on the fitting the inner fender wells as well as the radiator support, making sure everything lines up, everything fits as it should be before it goes off to be powder coated.
Dan had started with, along with Scott, putting some of the front end together because we do have to finish making those cuts. We have the correct rad support, and all those things will actually be sent out for sandblasting and powder coating, just so everything looks the same. Everything's uniform, everything's nice and clean. And once that's done, we have to remove all the trim because we have new trim that's getting painted. And the key is to remove the trim that's on there without scratching the paint that's on there. So I'm gonna have Rich do that because he's really good at that.
F100 initially, I had removed all of the trim that the vehicle came in with. Just a delicate job because everything has to be taped. One wrong move and you start scratching paint, and that's not a good thing.
Doing all of our brake lines, our fuel lines. We have the new harness that's on its way, so we have to put that in. And there's a couple little minor things that need to be done. And he's now added the interior, which we had originally discussed. We weren't sure, but he did add that, so that'll go off to Gil for a nice new bench seat, door panels, and carpet, which is, I think really it needs it. I think it's just gonna set it off real nice.
With this 1955 Chrysler wagon, the client had a very specific view of, and an idea, kind of a vision of what he wanted this console to look like. He loved the curves of the dash and all the intricacies of all the bright work on the dash. So when it came time to the console, we had to make sure that those curves matched.
Today I'm actually working on a 1955 Chrysler Windsor center console that I've built. Actually just getting everything lined up and mocked up.
So we've had the meeting with the client. He's talked about some of the features. So now that Tyler's got the base console done, he's going to move on to those features. Cup holders, shifter bezel, armrest, storage compartment, and foam pocket.
It actually incorporates a nice large screen for the front, as well as a shifter. We're going to put a couple of cup holders in here, probably a storage tray for his cell phone. Right now I'm just currently lining up the rear door, so that way I have some pieces of leather and some of the foam that we use. That way I can actually gap it correctly, and everything, when they do wrap it, goes together seamlessly and everything lines up. We don't have to do any adjusting or shaving or modifying to the parts at all. We're just going to be able to wrap them and put them in the car.
We also want to go ahead and incorporate some wood element into the console. Because the whole cargo area is finished wood, the client thought it'd be great to incorporate that into the console to tie everything together. So now Tyler's got his work cut out for him, as the client's expecting big things.
And right now I'm working in the 55 Chrysler's new Windsor, the center console. This is a challenge in this console. This is a big console. And also I had a special part of the front. I mean, let me. On the top of the console, they had a special piece, like a wood piece, and that piece, this one, it had to fit really. It's a precise fit. I mean, it looked like everything is coming very good. I mean, you see, this is the special part for the center console. Everything is fit good, look good. I mean, the finish with the leather and the wood, like a natural wood, it's really looked very nice, very good. I mean, everything is fitting right there. There is another piece of molding, joint line from the leather and the carpet. There is a special and a molding that go all around in this line. Yeah, but they have so many parts. They have leather, they have wood, they have molding, the metal molding. Everything has to join very perfectly. I end up finishing, wrapping all around. It's almost done.
So the client really wants a comfort effect on these seats. So Julio's got to go ahead and start stacking this foam. But we also have to add a layer of 1/2-inch softer foam as a topper. He's got to get the listing wires laid down. And then he's got to pull out this jungle knife, this machete. I've never seen it before, but the thing's huge. Maybe a little overkill, but cleans up the foam, whips out the sander, sands it down, shapes it, and now this thing's all done. Now that Julio's made his way through the jungle, chopping through, next thing we got to do is wrap this thing up and to be ready to head home.
Our 72 F100's back from paint. It looks so pretty. We just did the bed. As you know, we had to do some modifications in there. And the back, below the rear tail lights, there were some marker lights. They looked kind of wonky, so owner wanted to get rid of them. We did that. Looks perfect. Next, Bob will be putting in the new fuel door in the bed itself.
Today we're working on a 1972 Ford. We just got the bed back from paint and put on the truck. What we had done originally, we had widened the wheelhouses to accept very large tires in there, and we replaced the center section of the bed because he had some kind of weird thing in there. It didn't look correct, so we put the factory steel back in there and got it back in the paint, and it looks pretty good. Right now I'm going to be putting in the gas cap and the cover that he had picked out, and then start on the rest of it once it's done. So we've got a bunch accomplished already. What we have to finish up on is taillights. Have to put the tailgate together, put that on the vehicle. Most of the front end is together already. We have to wrap that up, and yeah, it's coming along pretty good.
So it's come a long way. We have some trim to get painted and put back on. We got some fittings, a little bit of wiring, and honestly, I think by the end of next week, we can get this started. And then it's off to Gil for interior. And I'm excited about this one because the leather, the owner picked this beautiful distressed brown leather and this really nice complementary carpet. And I think it's just really gonna set it off. What was in there now is a little too orangey for the nice gray that's on the exterior. So I'm excited to see this one done.
So the 1972 F100 project. This one is definitely going to be one of my favorites this year. Originally when it came in, it had a very orangey looking interior. The client decided they wanted to update the interior, and so we jumped in. So basically what we got going on is Kurt's on the dash. We got a nice beautiful hard shell dash that's going to slide in there, and we're going to tightly wrap that in that beautiful brown leather. And Sammy is on the headliner because the client said they wanted some diamond pleats, so we'll give them some diamonds. So Sammy's got a lot of stitching to do. So we're working on the 1972 F100, and currently we have our newest member here, Sammy, and he is just stitching up some diamond pleats. So Sammy, what are you stitching up for? What part is this for?
I do the middle headliner, and I need to put this diamond stitch and make the frame.
Yeah, so we got the door panels done, the headliner he's gonna wrap up. We gotta get the carpet done, and then I think Julio va a hacer el ciento, sí.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna have Julio wrap up the seat. So this one's moving along nicely. We got the dash in place, armrests are done, so we're really happy with this one. Moving along nice and smooth. Almost as smooth as Sammy's stitching. Come on in, Guido, because it's carpet time. And he's not going to disappoint, because I love the way he does his square weave. I know I've said it, and I'll keep saying it. And the way he does the leather strips on the bends, and everything just flows so perfect. I mean, he's in there quite a bit. He'll get all the padding done. He'll get the templates made. And then he goes and stitches up this beautiful brown square weave carpet, which looks tremendous against that brown distressed leather. So that's what's on tap today. Guido is going to go in there and do, once again, what he does best. A masterpiece on the floor. And then, of course, we got to bring in Julio, and Julio is going to be working on the seat, getting that seat done, getting the foam all sculpted, and it's going to be a nice form-fitting seat. I can't imagine it being anything other than what it is now. That brown Relicate distressed leather against that gunmetal exterior gray, it is the perfect match.
Today, Hank and I are going to be working on the 1972 F100. So Dylan came in when we started the truck up. He didn't like the sound of the vehicle with the mufflers that were already on there, but he kind of wanted it a little bit more rowdy sounding. So I suggested to do a set of exhaust cutouts. Not the first time I've done these. A lot of people really enjoy them. I personally like them too, to hear the sound of the engine as loud as possible.
Scott and I ended up taking the exhaust completely down, mapping them out, laying them out, and then just kind of tack them, and it went up and down probably 3-4 times before we were happy with the location of them.
And then welding up the flanges and adapters to fit the electric cutout. So when you're inside the vehicle, all you do is flip a switch under the dash, and he was totally on board with that. The vehicle's running down the highway, or you want to be quiet down the road at nighttime, you keep the exhaust cutouts closed. It sounds, kind of stockish, but a little bit of a rumble. But you really want to, you're going to a show, or you want to kind of wake up the neighbors, you just flip that switch, and all of a sudden it's open header.
From there, we had to move on to the suspension, put the wheels on it, the final set of wheels. We got the front dialed in, got the rear dialed in, and the truck is slammed. It's literally on the ground. There's probably 4.5 inches of clearance underneath the truck. Just a phenomenal truck. Absolutely beautiful. Colors are perfect. There's so much high-end stuff underneath that truck, and you don't really notice it until you look under it, but The suspension's a work of art by itself.
It'll come together, I think, pretty quick, and I'm really looking forward to starting this motor. So, and I'm sure all the guys are too. I can't wait to see this thing. It looks sick, so I'm excited to see how it sounds.
So we have officially made it to the finish line on the 1955 Chrysler wagon, or as we call it affectionately, Moparo, because it has a newer generation Chevy LT4 motor, and of course it's a Mopar. So this one is wrapped up officially, and this one was for 1945 Customs out of Troy, New York. After meeting with the client and the builder of this 1955 Chrysler wagon and determining that we wanted to deliver an interior that fit the vehicle perfectly, so matching the stock appearing exterior, but also incorporating and embracing the Art Deco design of the dash. So when we looked at the dash, we made note of the curvatures of it, a lot of the bright work, and just the different elements of the grooves in the speaker grill on the dash, which you'll see later on in our speaker grills that Tyler was able to go ahead and design and fabricate, also with that logo on there as well. The dash was really our inspiration for the rest of the interior because we knew we needed to deliver something that was complementing that dash. So it had to have the right curvature, it had to have the right amount of bright work. So as the dash flows into the console, you'll notice the bright work's there, the curvature matches. We have that wood grain, which matches the shifter knob as well. We were very conscious of that when we did the shifter bezel ring. We made that bright as well. The console has a very modern feature in it. It has a double-din radio, which almost disappears against that black smooth leather. You'll notice it obviously when it's on, but again, taking a look at it, how do we incorporate this and make the most minimal impact on the design itself, but still give them the functionality of a modern vehicle. When the client gave us this hand-tooled leather and he wanted to incorporate it into the interior, first of all, they're beautifully done, a lot of craftsmanship in them. The four pieces were pre-cut already for the door panel shape, so those were easy to incorporate. You're going to notice the sun visors themselves are hand-tooled leather. And then we had some extra pieces left over, so we've incorporated them into the floor mats. So on this 1955 Chrysler wagon, there's one more feature I want to show you before we wrap up. So let's take a look at it. So the final piece on this 1955 Chrysler wagon is the lighting feature. Lighting was really key for the client, so we made sure we delivered the right LED, the right temperature of LED, and throughout the vehicle. We made sure that it actually is exactly the way the client wanted. Nice soft lighting. Yeah, the lighting feature on this vehicle is strategically placed so that way it is directly above the hand-tooled leather. And I think the color of the LED lighting and the temperature of it as far as the looms against that hand-tooled leather definitely highlights the color tone of the leather, but it also highlights the negative parts where it's kind of blacked out, just to show you the depth of the hand-tooled piece as well. So again, it's very purpose-built. Everything was really thought out and planned, even down to the lighting feature and the location of the lighting. With this vehicle, we said, hey, let's embrace the luxury aspect of it. We want comfort, we want luxury, we want styling, we want modern amenities, and then that LT4 motor with this chassis delivers the drivability. So I think altogether this project came out actually very beautiful, very stylish, and it's purpose built, and I think the client's going to love it.
Whenever I see a build, I like to look at not the overall thing, I like looking at the little things in it and how Scott did everything I wanted. Everything's symmetrical, you know, if you did one thing on one side, I want it to be exactly on the other side. So there's not, you know, too much going on, but very simple and clean. Just how he tucked all the wiring and how he did the AC lines and, you know, everything underneath with the, you know, the trans cooler underneath and just everything. It's all the little things that I know that are there. Not that, you know, anyone would notice, but that's probably one of my favorite things is all the stuff that you can't see. Biggest thing would be the transformation of the interior, because the interior was basically like an orangey leather, and then seeing that go to this, the interior is one of my favorite things. My name is Dylan Kendall. I'm from Pine Bush, New York, and this is my 1972 F100. It's perfect. It's OEM plus.
The F100 has been picked up, and I have to say Dylan was pretty happy about getting it back, and it's done. That was the mission. I want to drop it off, and I want to drive it out of here complete, and that's what happened. So I was pretty excited, and what a great truck! Like, what a absolutely awesome truck. I love the way that came out.
That's beautiful. I'm glad he allowed us to do the interior as well, because that brown distress, the sculpted seat, and then in the end, Guido wrapping up the steering wheel too. I think it needed it because it completes the whole look of the truck. And that was really a build about details.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm glad he's happy.
Yeah, there was a lot of attention paid to everything in the engine bay, everything that was underneath, and you know, the new gauges. It was a spot-on build, and like I said, things were added on. Usually that's what happens when projects get here, and I know that he is looking forward to possibly doing something else in the future, which is nice because he's a young guy, and we need more of the young generation to carry this on and continue on with some of these cars. So
I can definitely drink to that.
Yeah.
Here's to the younger generation. At GCD Auto Studio, don't just think of us as the restoration place or the Restomod place. Think of us as your source to go ahead and do your routine maintenance and keep your vehicle safely on the road each and every car show season. So remember, whether it's restoration work or vehicle maintenance, GCD Auto Studio is the place to contact for all your classic car needs. We'd love to be married to your ride as well.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.